Welcome to the AirPower Airwaves, the AirPower Manufacturing Solutions podcast series where we talk about manufacturing issues that impact you. Hey, this is Travis with AirPower Airwaves podcast, and today I have a new person in the studio that we haven't had here yet. What's up, Brian Gaddy?
How are you?
I'm doing good, man. All right, welcome. We're going to talk about you in a minute. Kyle.
Good to see you.
Man, you went from doing no podcasts, no videos to a bunch of them.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. Jai appreciates it. All right, so we've got Jai on the directing this podcast on the camera over there, so thank you, Jai. All right, today is all things engineering with AirPower. So, Brian Gaddy, tell me a little bit about yourself and what your role is here at AirPower.
So I've been here at AirPower for a little over 3 years, and I'm the technical engineering manager and overall the technical team.
Okay, so that team has different types of engineers in it, different things. So we'll talk a little bit about that moving forward. But so engineering is a very integral part of this organization, and engineering is also not only what AirPower is able to, it basically gives us the basis of how technical we can be taking product to the market. So we don't have just a simple portfolio to open up and go pick one of these as a solution and go.
We're not a catalog house.
No.
It's not box in, box out, but we can take stuff, make it custom, make it for you, and those guys do it.
So you basically spearhead that team.
Correct.
And you also work with the other team leaders or other leaders from different areas of AirPower to make sure that all that is seamless and smooth.
As well as we can.
Yes.
Right.
Well, y'all do. He's not going to brag. They do a really good job.
He's not. There's also, engineers, Getty's got engineers, bench repair, field service, and an install team.
All right. Okay.
And project management.
And project
management. Yeah, we just did a podcast with Dave Hagee that's coming out soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit. Kyle?
Yes, sir.
Your role at AirPower?
I'm still the sales and marketing leader.
All right, just wanted to make sure. You never know.
Hasn't changed yet.
You never know.
Thank goodness.
I was just making sure you weren't the head janitor yet.
No. I don't mind picking up trash, though.
No, me either.
If you see some, let me know.
All right, so let's get into this. Let's talk all things engineering today. We have a team of engineers here. Can you give us the scope of the different types of engineers that we have on our staff?
We've got mechanical engineers on our staff as well as controls engineers.
Okay, break it down for somebody who doesn't know what the difference is between those.
So we kind of laugh, and we sometimes say the mechanical engineers are the guys who draw circles and squares, but they make things come to life. So they do a lot of our design work.
Okay.
For our custom solutions that we provide our customers, and then our controls engineers basically handle all the electronics, so electrical components, electrical cabinets, as well as PLC programming, HMI programming, screen programming, as well as custom robotic solutions and robotic programming as well.
All right.
Robotic teaching.
Yep.
And simulating. Y'all do.
Correct.
So simulating is able, that gives us the power to be able to show the customer what the solution is most likely going to be.
And how far can I take it?
And how far can we take it? Yeah, before we actually pull a trigger, before the customer pulls a trigger and signs the PO.
That's right.
And the engineering department is probably the only department that is actually involved in all three phases of the purchasing process. They're involved in pre-sale, they're involved in developing the equipment as far as building it, and then they're also involved in post-sale when we have service calls.
All right. How often do you guys, it's just a one-off question here, does engineering get involved when the actual installation is being done?
Yes.
Okay, so you really are from the from concept to the last nut and bolt being
cradle to grave.
And the software being
when critical in all parts.
Go.
Yeah. I mean, you can't sell a robot if we don't get on site and integrate it.
Correct.
And then we got to make sure the program runs successfully. So, I mean, they're 100% all the way through the process.
How does the engineering team interact with our sales team? And we have specialists also. So some sales team could be specialist or account manager.
So a lot of times, our account managers will actually come to us, and sometimes they'll even say, "Hey, we need you to go to a customer with us to go help us look at a possible solution."
Okay.
So we'll actually go out pre-sale and go help look at the customer's issue that they're having and help develop a solution,
Okay.
and then assist the account managers in providing a quote and the specialists.
All right. Nothing like another set of eyeballs.
Right.
And smart eyeballs.
Exactly.
The engineers helped us with the job. We went and looked at, because the account managers find manufacturing problems,
Yes.
right? And we as an organization solve manufacturing problems. And so we found a job. The customer wanted to assemble all 10 of these bolts at the same time.
Okay.
Customer said, "I don't think it'll fit." Vendor said, "I don't think it'll fit." Gaddy's engineers said, "Give me the CAD file." So they took the CAD file, they took the CAD of the tool, and they laid in the 10, they offset them, and they came back and they said, "Here you go." But it was all pre-sale, just to prove a concept.
That's pretty awesome.
It was pretty slick.
Yeah.
It was really slick.
Good luck competing with that. We don't take the challenge. We'll handle it. All right. So capabilities, tools. It takes a lot of things in your arsenal and your team's arsenal, I'm sure, to get things done. Right. It's not like one computer program does all.
Right.
Or so let's talk about the tools that you guys have in the engineering department here.
Okay. So mechanical wise, we have a 3D modeling software where we can go in and create 3D models of anything. And then we can basically give those drawings back to the customer to get approval before we ever even cut a piece of metal.
Okay.
We also have some prototype 3D printing at our disposal, where we can sometimes small objects we can come in and 3D print and actually give a physical part to our customers and say, "This is what it's going to look like when we're complete."
That's got to help.
Represented in
That's got to
plastic.
help in the sales process.
So
It's extremely critical. We do a lot of custom heads, custom
Okay.
reaction devices, custom heads. I mean, they're one-off, made to order, very expensive. You 3D print, we do a design, and designs are great because we're basing it off a CAD model, CAD model to CAD model. And then you 3D print this, and you get on site, and, they start checking everything. And it's amazing how many times you're like, "Oh, wait, I forgot to send you the 3D model of this part that we want to do as well." So, huge part.
I mean, even as humans, we're so sensory driven to be able to go, "Oh, okay,
Right.
that's what it
Right.
is." You
and it helps a lot to see it. It's not going to be exactly precise as what the metal would be, but it's so much a cheaper solution to actually get a prototype in front of the customer and say, "This is what your finished product is going to look like."
Yes, absolutely.
Let's make sure it fits. Let's make sure it works as intended.
Okay, so we talked about the 3D CAD modeling.
We also have some robot simulation software called RoboGuide, and a lot of times we can take line speeds of our painting applications that we have, and we can actually plug it into our robot we have here on site with our conveyor, and we can actually mimic the spray pattern that the customer is going to have on their product. We can give them estimated cycle times,
Okay.
as well as we can actually see what size robot they need.
So, for people watching this that may not know yet, that we actually have a FANUC robot in our lab that enables us to do a lot of things, both on the finishing side and the assemble side, like pretty much all of our competencies. Assemble, move, and coat. With that robot, I guess we don't rely on another organization to do our programming and for our customers, the things that we need to get done to make sure that robot paints that same part over and over again. That's all stuff that we do internally.
Right.
How deep does that go as far as things that we do that I hear the term PLCs a lot, in our organization. And there are other organizations that rely on somebody else to handle that for them. Talk about that just a little bit, like on the PLC side of what we do.
I mean, I can't speak to it technically, but from a sales perspective, we can design your PLC, we can then build your PLC, and then we can integrate the PLC. And from my standpoint, that's all I need to know, because that's perfect, right? It's one throat to choke.
And especially with robotics, a lot of times, we can come in and program a robot, but the robot has to have a handshake with something else. So it has to always be talking to all of the other equipment around it.
Something's got to tell it what to do.
Exactly. So that's where the PLC comes in, and that's where we do all. So we can do all of the reach studies. We verify that the payload capacity is correct for what we're trying to use the robot for. Reach studies is the main thing, and then you also have to always worry about your work envelope that the robot's working in.
Yep. Work envelope being the space around whatever area that robot has to go, or the footprint, the envelope to cover it. Yep.
I want to hold out my hand.
Yeah. Too close, Kyle. Too close. Your envelope is rejected.
Move my chair.
All right, so let's talk about some other things that we deal with. One of those is efficiency with safety. Efficiency is a big thing, and I know Air Power tries to be very efficient, even with our processes, the way we go to market. Engineering is no different. So we came up with a few things that we wanted to make sure we cover. One of those is efficiency with safety. Who wants to run with that one?
Yeah, we as an organization, but all manufacturing strives to be more efficient. I mean, that's the name of the game, right? I mean, if you're more efficient, then you're more profitable. You can get more throughput. But if you're more efficient safely, well, then that's good for your operators too. And so our engineers really come into, forefront when you think, you don't necessarily think about an engineered design for safety to promote efficiency, but some of the cool stuff that they do back here, just simple like drum elevators. Operator comes over and is straining to get a drum out. Well, we can incorporate a really cool drum elevator that's custom, that ties into your HMIs and the PLCs, and to make sure this all works safely. Working with agitation, torque reaction, all this stuff to ensure that the operator doesn't hurt themselves, but it takes an engineer in order to design that solution.
Right.
And we do a lot with ergonomics as well. We are always concerned about our customers' operators. Because, OSHA regulations, we're concerned about those as well. But, a safe operator, and if we can limit the amount of strain that they have during their shift with implementing an ergonomic device,
right,
then it helps them do their job more efficiently.
Okay. All right, the second category, or the second thing we're going to talk about in regards to efficiency, is efficiency with data.
Data is driving production right now. We are doing a lot with, how much paint are you using to paint your part? If we can show that a customer can save so many ounces of paint per part, that turns into dollars. And if you put that over the course of a year, it turns into a lot of money. Or whether or not we need to, you can run this robot 5% faster and get the same coat.
Yep.
As far as your finish is concerned, then at the end of the year, that turns into dollars for them because they could paint more parts. So everything is, data equals money.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
I've heard, this specific example many times in the years that I dealt with powder, that I was selling powder. If you went into a customer that was, shooting out of Gaylords, the big, huge amounts of powder, you're delivering that into a system that's got automated guns. Let's say they're going through a, tractor trailer of powder a month, okay? And it's a lot of powder, just blow and go, But if the part only required, and the vendor of the powder, the tech data only required 2.5 mils of that powder, once it's cured, 2.5 mils on that part, and you're putting 3.5 mils on, and you take that 1 mil and calculate that one extra mil over an entire year, it's a significant amount of waste.
Yeah.
So efficiency with data falls right into that. Dialing in. It's not just the robot. It's the airflow. It's the, how much paint are we moving through? So you got to back down and look at the airflow, the pump, the actual powder itself, or the paint itself. There's so many variables, but efficiency with data is I'm sure what we're looking to encapsulate all of that.
All of it.
Which leads me to my second thing.
Well, and on the data, like, how do you make an educated decision if you don't know the numbers? Like how do you know you're using too much powder? Or how do you know you're using too much paint? We did do a job recently where, you see like the glue bottles on all the stations. And operators just pick up the glue bottle, flip it over, and squeeze it.
Yep.
And they get a glue. I mean, that's a manual dispense, right? It doesn't come out of a machine, it's a glue bottle. Well, the customer wanted to know, well, how much glue am I using? When the only way to do that is to start pulling data, and he had to do it manually, like actually measuring glue. But I mean, we can automate that and actually get you the data so you can make educated decisions on how you need to buy your glue and if you're putting the right CCs on parts and all that stuff. So they just got done doing a really cool, I don't really know exactly all the details, but it's like Keyence meters, metering fluid through a panel, and all the customer wanted was just the data. He wanted to know how much fluid was moving past the meters.
All right.
Well, and not only that, but Kyle mentioned when you're dispensing as well is, maybe the customer has a requirement where they have to have so many cc's in that glue dispense. So we can automate that and make sure that we're given the exact amount every time.
Yep. All right. So, if thinking about it, growing up in a cabinet shop when you have, there was nothing automated in that cabinet shop, I can assure you. But my dad was a workaholic and a perfectionist for sure. But he was pretty awesome with the glue, when you're putting wood together, right? But you think about it, if you put just not enough wood glue in between two pieces, it doesn't have the strength long term, right? But if you put too much glue, then you have a mess on your hands that you got to deal with, all the extra glue pushing out.
The cost of that cabinet door just went up too.
Yeah, absolutely. So by taking data and working with that, capturing data, spending time figuring out how much, what you actually need, is it's profitability basically. Is what you're looking, and the part is better because of it,
right?
Because everything has been tested. So let's say somebody goes through all that. How do we work with customers on quality documentation? To take that a step further and be able to provide.
I mean, most manufacturers have their own set requirements for making sure the product's built to spec.
Okay.
And so absolutely, when we're looking at opportunities or a manufacturing problem, do y'all have a specification for this? It could be a torque, it could be a mill build, it could be a CC amount. And then, the next question that's logical is, okay, how do you know that you got that?
Yeah.
And then that's when it's like,
take our word for it.
Right. And manufacturing's evolved significantly. The old wood manufacturers, back then the labor force loved what they did, and they cared, and they were meticulous. Well, labor's changed a lot recently, and the labor force today is significantly different than it was, right? Mm-hmm. And so how do we make sure that we're still using people effectively and still getting out good product? Kind of rolls all into automation and data and efficiency. So,
got it. All right. So I think we kind of covered automation, but I want to.
We can't make a robot plug.
No, let's talk about. I do want to talk about something that's come up on some of our other podcasts, and that is the debate when we talk about automation. The debate, of is it going to be all employees go away type scenario, or what's the real impact of that? What's the challenge to the employer?
So reasons for automation. And I've got 25 years of manufacturing experience before I came here to Air Power.
Okay.
Reasons for automation are for quality, to ensure quality, to ensure repeatability, or to increase cycle speed, to enhance your productivity. Or you have something that's not safe for an operator and you have to use a mechanical device or a robot to do that. That's the top three.
Okay.
So I think, it's up to the process. I think a lot of times the process dictates what type of automation you use. I don't think you're ever going to be able to get rid of the human aspect because, number one, somebody has to program the robots. Mm-hmm. So you turn an operator, maybe where you used to have a process where you needed 5 operators to run an assembly line, you might be able to put 2 robots in there, and you might be able to have one person that we call a machine tender, right? That they could actually tend the robots, make sure the robots have enough material, and to make sure that the robots are doing what they need to do. But you still have to have a person there making sure everything's okay.
I think, we've seen it. If you watch news at all, if you pay attention to current events in the past, 5 years, a little bit prior to COVID, going through COVID, post-COVID, there's a significant amount of the population that just doesn't want to work. Mm-hmm. And we have, everyone watching's probably heard this, but in some way or another, but there is nowhere that I go to, whether it be a store, any kind of store, customers that I call on, that goes, hey, we have a fully functional pool of people to pull from. It's right. Not. All of my wife and I, we have 4 boys. All of our boys are working, and in their worlds, there's jobs open. You guys know my wife went through major surgeries early this year, 3 back to back, and the nursing staff was challenged with not having enough to pull from. So it's in all sectors, it's in all areas. So to me and to a lot of people that we've done podcasts with where we've had these conversations, they think that robotics and automation is kind of an answer to that, to be able to take some of that stress off of a manufacturer. You guys want to add to that at all?
Well, I wanted to add on just one comment, though, because a lot of people think automation is robots. And to us at Air Power, robots is just a form of automation.
Correct.
So in our mind, automation is just removing human input. I mean, that could be as simple as just automating a ball valve. Like instead of the guy walking over there to turn a ball valve, let's automate it. And right. Then how do you automate it? Well, we got to key off of some sort of whatever, right? Some sort of signal. But to us, we just want to remove human input to make processes more efficient. So that could be a robot, or it could be an automated ball valve, or a custom press, or whatever, right? Lots of options, but it's not always a robot.
Yep. Thank you for clarifying that. Should have said automation and robots. But yeah, I agree. All right, so those of you who've watched this podcast or listened to this podcast many times, you've heard us talk about Air Power's 3 categories or competencies, which is assemble, move, and coat. I wanted to go through, and I did with these guys prior to this podcast, and list out not specific customers, but specific projects that we've done that fall under these different assemble, move, and coat. Some of these it probably touches all 3 a little bit, but some of them are very specific to one or the other. So I'm gonna pitch these out real quick and let's talk about them.
Just gonna lob them up
quickly. Yeah, let's kind of go through it pretty fast. Custom sanitary pump system.
Yes.
That's pretty quick.
Let's talk about it just real
You want
quick.
more than that?
Yeah, just describe what it is very, very, very briefly.
So taking a custom pump, tying it in. I don't remember how y'all tied it in, but y'all tied a signal in to tell the pump to turn on and refill.
Right.
So very
Auto fill.
Yeah, auto sensor, so high-low level sensing. It's simple too, right? They used to have a guy come over and fill it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how do I get it so the guy doesn't have to pick this bucket up and fill it? Well, it's pretty simple. Pump, give me a signal, high-low sensors, and let's refill it for you.
Okay, so those simplistic things can be, if you have somebody coming over to multiple stations in a manufacturing facility that has to have those glue guns refilled or whatever. If you had a way of putting that glue gun into an insert at your station that auto-filled it, and if that saved enough time to where it made sense, okay. Custom press table.
So with custom press table, we basically designed all of the press tooling to press in a lot of various pieces that went together into a pump.
Okay.
So the pallet fixtures had to be custom designed, as well as the press fixtures that attached to the press.
Okay. Integrated DC torque system with PLC feedback.
So a lot of our customers, right, the question always is, did you torque that bolt before you send it out to your end customer, right? Sometimes our customers get those quality returns where they didn't touch all of their bolts before they went out. So basically this is hey, I've got 8 bolts that need to be torqued to 10 Newton meters. Okay, well I did 9 of them. Oops. What happened to the other one? Well, we got it as good as we could. Well, so we set up the feedback to where green light, red light. If we don't see 10 good torques, we don't turn on a green light. It stays red.
All right. All right.
So
You can take that even further too with vision systems, encoded
Correct.
arms. Like, sky's the limit.
Okay.
So yeah, and a lot of times it's, hey, do I want this torque gun to just be able to cut on anytime the operator grabs it? Or do I want to make sure that I'm in the correct space to where I know that bolt's at in the XYZ plane, then I enable it to cut on.
I would imagine that sometimes in these situations, the impact of budget from a vendor or from a customer, our quote to the customer, is less problematic than us solving the problem that makes the repeatability, increase production, and increase profitability. I'm sure they offset each other very quickly.
Very quickly.
So it's okay.
I mean, warranty work, potential claims. If you buy an appliance, and let's say the appliance goes in $1 million house, and then it floods, like that's a big deal.
Big deal.
So you could justify, some sort of efficiency gains really quickly through stuff like that.
Okay. Ergonomic lift solution.
Again, that's operator safety is key in a lot of our applications. So we try to make sure that we keep their lifting. A lot of times we can go in and do ergonomic studies and see exactly, and give that study to our customer.
Where it's impacting the employee.
So, right. So we can look at, repetition and where's the biggest bang for the buck, so to speak.
Okay.
We had Presto in the last one I was on.
Yeah,
Presto, right?
yeah.
So some of these are using Presto lift tables, making sure we're at the right operator height, and then integrating it in. We can put it inside a conveyor or whatever else we need to do with it.
Yep.
And they have to be custom designed because no 2 operators are exactly the same unless somebody hires twins or triplets, right? So I mean, you got a lady that's 4'10" working an assembly line, and the next shift the guy's 6'2" that comes in and runs the same station. So
yeah, there's going to need to be some
Slight
resets.
variation.
yeah.
Or that 410 is going to be on a ladder working, and that's not going to be fun at all. Overhead rail system.
Yeah, I mean, that overhead rail could go back to safety, ergonomics, efficiency. Could go to automation.
Yeah.
We do a lot of overhead rail, push, pulling, lifting. Could be a torque tube. Could be a custom vacuum device that these guys design. Could be a clamp.
Could be a dispense system.
Yeah.
That's hooked
Right.
up.
All right. Fluid pumping stations.
Yes.
All right. We'll just move on.
That's enough said. Yeah.
Hoist systems and jib cranes.
So a lot of that goes into the overhead rail systems. They kind of go hand in hand.
Okay.
So anything that needs to be lifted, we can put a jib arm in.
Robotic paint and powder coating integrations.
Yeah, I mean, like as an organization, finishing to us is roughly percentage-wise 50% of our business. And then once you get into this, that's even a bigger part. That's a big portion of that percentage. But just as we continue to gain efficiency, just more robots. We got one in the lab. His guys are constantly back there doing it. We just, if you follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I don't know if I left any out. Jai just posted a picture of us like unwrapping a new robot that came in. But I mean, painting's a repetitive motion in most cases. And so that's a great opportunity to input an arm that's not going to get tired or complain or do anything like that.
You can see on social media with us back there with the robot painting saw blades,
Yeah.
like hand saw.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I have one of those in my house. I took a saw blade home
Yeah.
after we painted it, and I bought a handle.
Very cool. All right, paint kitchens.
So with all of this robotic integration that we do, and you have to be able to get the paint out to the applicator, right? So it has to be able to get out to the gun. So a lot of that normally comes from your paint kitchen. So
Yep.
we do all of that tubing, all of those fittings, all of those runs to get that paint from point A to point B, which is end of use.
And here's where also you could input those high-low level sensors. You could auto refill. You could reduce some safety concerns with some elevators for your operators so they're not lifting drums and refilling paint. A lot of cool stuff you can do in a paint kitchen.
Yep.
And sometimes automation is as simple as when a drum's empty, we turn on a light that tells an operator, hey, your drum's empty, you need to come and refill the drum. And that's as simple as automation gets. It's just operator awareness, and that way you don't run out of paint and the line's sitting there starved, waiting on a material handler to come and bring some more paint over.
You could actually program alarms into that stuff
Correct.
too. Audible alarms.
Right.
Fan design. Pretty.
Yeah, booth sizing. I mean, that is a booth is an engineered system based on your need. So we want to make sure that we design the proper flow, have the correct
Proper
fan.
CFM.
Absolutely.
All that. Conveyor integration.
That's a fairly new one to us. We've performed a couple of projects over the last year where, just moving product in and out, moving product past a lot of assemblers on an assembly line, stopping and starting product in the right place at custom automation stations for the operator to add components, take away components, things like that.
Yeah, I went to a large national manufacturer maybe a month, 2 months ago, and their initiative by 2025 was to remove all manual push conveyors. Like that was their initiative, and so I'm excited because Gaddy's team is very much involved with, how do we partner alongside that movement, and it's through that conveyor automation piece.
So I'm gonna lob this one to you, Kyle.
Okay, is it cows?
So, we are a distributor.
Mm-hmm.
Guess you could call us an integrator.
Mm-hmm.
Could also say that we are kind of a box store because we've got tools on the shelf, parts on the shelf, we've got all of that. What makes us unique when you look at all the different distributors and companies that kind of do what we do? What is it that makes Air Power unique to this?
Okay. So, a wise man once told me that we offer one throat to choke. I don't know if I can say that on the air. I'm not advocating we choke anybody. But we do offer, if you need a box in, box out, you just need a spray gun. Like, we were founded as a distributor, and we still have very much so and rely heavily on our distributor capabilities. We have inventory, so box in, box out.
Yep.
We can transact that business all day, every day. We also have outside account managers, inside sales, project management, engineers. So we can be a technical resource. We can provide on-site demos. But then we also have this like integrator, custom build, engineered piece. So there's a lot of distributors, box in, box out, and there's also some really, really good integrators.
Yep.
We fit this really sweet space where we get to take box in, box out product, our engineering capabilities, and make this really cool custom solution. Like that's just for you. And then if you want to take that to another level, there's a lot of people that sell finishing equipment. And then another, like these are like buckets, right? And then there's people that do dispense systems, and then there's people that do tools. Well, we do it all. And so a good example,
which is more of a rarity.
It is
in this market.
It is
because most people like take that one bucket and they run with it as hard as they can.
And so if you want to make sure that, we'll just use dispensing for instance, because some of like the MD2 valves and stuff for dispensing get kind of heavy, especially when you plumb all the two-part dispense fluid into a line. You know, so you could go somewhere and buy a pump and buy your hose and buy your two-part valve and your static mixers. But then you might have to drag it across the floor. The operator might throw it over his shoulder and complain about holding this 30-pound thing. But where we get really, really wrapped up and involved, and where I think we shine, is that one throat to choke where, let's do your ram pump. Let's make sure that we automate it. Let's throw a stack light up, you know, when your low-level sensor's down. Let's do your hose. Let's make sure your valves, you're proportioning on ratio. But then let's add in our material handling piece or our ergonomics piece and do the overhead rail and the balancer and make this a complete work cell that optimizes efficiency, provides safety for your operator, and that begins the automation process.
Okay.
And so our purpose, right, our engineering team, is we enhance our distribution. So
Truly.
So I look at it as you know, we don't only sell a black and white TV. Now I'm telling my age almost, but we can make your black and white TV color, and then we can also add on all these other components to where you can now record off of it. You can play back on it. You can hook it up to 4 other things and play 4 other things on it.
Can you put an Xbox on it?
Maybe.
Not a black and white TV.
No. We have to make
I'm
it
old
color
enough
first.
to remember having a black and white TV in our house.
I remember having to get up and going and changing
Turn
the
the channels
That's
with
right.
your hand. Yep.
That's right.
Or
So-
the little mini vice grips that you had because all you had
Yeah.
left was the little knob.
Yeah.
We've all done things that are shameful, right?
Joe also have the telephone, like the.
We did.
Okay.
You didn't know there was blood in Jaws until you saw it in color much later. All right, guys. Thank you
Dude,
both.
thank you,
Kyle,
Travis.
I appreciate having you
It was
in
awesome.
here.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And we appreciate everybody's input. All right, so this closes out this engineering podcast with Air Power. If you have any questions, call either of these guys at 1-800-334-1001. You can go visit us online at any of our websites, but the number one website you need to remember is airpower-usa.com. But if you want to catch up on other podcasts you might have missed, you can either go to our YouTube channel, just go to YouTube and search Air Power Manufacturing Solutions, or go to YouTube and or go to airpower-airwaves.com and you'll find all the podcasts there. So I'm going to close this podcast out like I always do and say, manufacture it a great day.
Thank you for joining the Air Power Airwaves podcast. Air Power Airwaves is a production of Air Power Inc. and Air Power Live Studios and is hosted by Travis Stirewalt. For more information, please visit airpowerairwaves.com. For more information on all of our products, brands, and manufacturing solutions, please visit airpower-usa.com. If you have any questions or need product support, please contact Air Power at 1-800-334-1001.